Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to Cody Builds. On today's episode, we're down at my dad's shop. We're gonna be working on the old Orange International. We're gonna get that thing pulled in here and we're gonna yank the engine out of it. So we got a lot to do today. We're gonna get right to it. So today, Dad and I are working on his 1975 International 200 pickup truck. The last time you guys saw this, I think, was in one of Sweet Pea's videos. We just took it for a little cruise. We've got a little bit of work done since that point in time. So I did buff out the paint on this truck, and I was gonna do a video of kind of an external makeover on this truck. We were waiting on wheels and tires. It took forever to get the wheels back from powder coating, so we didn't make that video, but now you get to see it with the original steel wheels, the dog dish caps, and the paint all buffed out. The truck looks really, really great. It's pretty shocking how good the paint was underneath all that oxidation. Yeah, there's still some rust and things in the body, but overall, for this being the original paint on this truck, it's in great, great condition. So, Dad really got to enjoy the truck this last summer and drove it quite a bit. But a few more issues have popped up since then, as they do with these old vehicles. One being a brake booster or master cylinder failure. So this thing has very little, if any, brakes. And then two, the original Holley carburetor in this thing is running pretty rough. It runs actually fairly better cold than it does warm. Once it gets warm, it's got some types of vacuum leaks or something going on. It just does not want to stay running. So we've tweaked on it a lot. We've had a couple different people tweak on it quite a bit, and we just can't quite get it dialed in. Likely the thing's just worn out. We probably have some leaks around the throttle blades and things like that. We are gonna resolve that issue as well. So what we're doing today is we're pulling the engine out of this thing, and we're gonna pull the transmission, transfer case, drop everything out of it, and we're gonna overhaul those this winter so that this truck will be ready to go next spring when the weather turns nice again. So the focus for today really is going to be on pulling the engine and transmission out and evaluating what else we might need to do. Now, the only thing we're focusing on in the near term is the mechanical issues in this truck. We're not too worried about the bodywork and the rust and repairs that we've got to do in the bed. That'll be for down the line. For now, we just want to get this truck running and driving reliably well. So we're going to get to work, and we're going to start pulling everything out of this truck. And hopefully by the end of this video, Dad and I will have the engine, transmission, all that out of the truck. I'll take him back up to my shop where we're gonna do all new seals, repaint everything, make it all look good. So we're gonna get to work. All right, so first things first, I think Dad's gonna get up under the hood here and he's gonna start disconnecting the various accessories, fuel lines, coolant system, all that stuff, while I crawl up underneath the truck and work on disconnecting the transfer case, drive shafts. I'm gonna cut the exhaust off and get all that stuff out of the way. The initial plan here is to pull the engine and transmission as one. The transfer case is divorced, so we'll pull the drive shaft for that off, and then we'll drop the transfer case separately. We're gonna pull the hood off and give ourselves a little bit more space. Hopefully our cherry picker will reach high enough to pull that engine out. If not, the ace up our sleeve, we may end up having to push the truck outside and using the skid steer to lift the engine out, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Oh. did it break loose?
It broke loose, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, right at a break. Okay, let's go into the nut right now. In the nut. So, should get easier from there.
Up there?
Yeah. I'm not struggling at all now.
Okay. I'll wait for the...
I don't know if the wrench is going to come through.
I'll wait for the wrench to pop through the... If you grab that side, I'll grab this side and I'll grab the bolt side of this one. Grab it in the wrong spot. Good, just watch your hinge there.
Yep.
Be a good time to blow all the rest of the mouse nest out of this thing I just heard.
Yeah.
Watch the transmission dipstick back there. Make sure we're not jamming into the firewall with it.
We already are.
We are? Okay. That's what I was afraid of. Is there a bracket up higher that bolts somewhere? Oh, way up high.
You get that
up here? That there? Yeah.
challenging place.
They made a lot of things challenging on this truck. Playing with blocks.
Playing with blocks.
Okay, hold on. Let me come out from underneath. I think I can guide it from the top side now. Ooh, we're very close, aren't we? I think we're gonna have to end up leaning the, or picking the transmission up. Yeah, or pulling the engine hoist. Okay. All we need to do is clear the bottom of the oil pan. Actually, it'd be good that you guys are here. You can push the truck back when we get to that point.
Take it out of park, will you? I can't get you no more.
That is it. That's all we got. I could also just lift off the transmission. Pull it up. That's as far back as the truck's gonna go. Let me hop up in there. Okay. Hold up. Let me move. When coming down. Okay. Should be good. You're good there. You can stop.
Maybe she don't have much compression.
It's pretty low. Ready?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Remember, they're kind of heavy, right?
Should you have it? Should be all you do. All right, so we're back at my shop with the 392 out of Dad's orange pickup. It came out actually fairly easy. We didn't have too many issues. The thing is so oily and greasy. It dumped so much grease over all the bolts that we really didn't have a problem getting almost any bolts out of this truck. But we have a huge cleanup job to do. And I've got Jeff here helping me tonight. And you guys are gonna be seeing a lot more of Jeff on this channel as we get into his Charger project. He's going to be out here helping me work on that car all through the winter, so get used to seeing Jeff's face on the channel. So tonight what we're doing is breaking down all the accessories off the engine here, and I'm going to start to degrease this thing. Winter has snuck up on us quickly, so just outside we had about a foot of snow this weekend and another couple inches last night, so it's really coming down on us. So the heater's going to have to go on tonight. So we're going to get to work. I'm going to turn the heater on, put you guys on a time lapse while we get the accessories off this motor, and we start stripping the unnecessary things off of it for now so that we can get it cleaned up, and then we can start to disassemble the engine so I can go through it and start to see exactly what we need to replace and what we can reuse. Because we're not going to be doing, probably not going to be doing a full rebuild on this engine unless we find some really nasty stuff. There was no issues that Dad was having other than this thing was leaking like a sieve. Leaking oil from probably every single gasket. As you guys can see, this thing is just a complete mess. So real quick before we get to work, just want to talk about strategies as far as organization again. And we've got the bins back out here with all the individual compartments in them. We've got labels on top of the lid. Every bolt that goes into this box gets labeled with where it came from and the number of bolts that go with it. So when it comes time to reassemble everything, I won't have too many issues trying to figure out where everything goes. So that said, we're going to get to work. Right, so Jeff and I got this thing all tore down, got all the accessories off it. Holy moly, guys, look how bad this is. Like, I was kind of curious where most of the leaks were coming from, and I think the answer is pretty much everywhere, but you can actually see a pretty good gap. We haven't loosened these up yet. You can see a pretty good gap between the gaskets, the valve cover gaskets and the head. Same on both sides. I think a lot of this oil is coming from the valve covers, but I'm sure there's possibly intake leaks there as well, just given the quantity and how long this thing's been leaking. It's been leaking for a very long time. Come around to the back side and it's almost worse. You know, check this out. So this is gonna take some serious cleanup here. Let's just take this little paper towel here. I'm just gonna take my little pry bar slash use it as a scraper here. Look how much sludge and buildup there is in the backside of this block. Like, it's insane. It's so much garbage in this thing. So we are going to degrease this whole block, but before I can even do that, I'm going to have to scrape out all these crevices. Let's down on here on top of the intake cover. Look at all that. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape a lot of this excess grease and grime and buildup, and this is like grease and all the dirt and crap that's gotten on top of the engine and just kind of saturated over time. So we're going to scrape all this buildup, a lot of this buildup off, and then we're going to degrease this block. All right, so I've got the bulk of the really heavy grease scraped off. You can see just how much is on the ground. I tried to collect as much of it as I could, but we're just about ready now to degrease the engine. Now, the reason I went ahead and I scraped all that heavy grease and grime off is because I want to give our degreaser the best opportunity to break down this grease all the way back to the metal on this block intake heads and valve covers. And if you've got a 1/4 inch thick of grime on the engine, it's going to take multiple applications of degreaser in order to even start to touch this thing to clean it up. So you can see we've scraped a good amount off, but there's still a ton of grease and grime on this engine block. This is by far one of the worst engine blocks that I've cleaned before. Most of the time you get an oil leak or something on one side and you get some of this buildup. I've rarely had the entire block look quite like this. So clearly this engine was leaking oil for a very long time, and this is going to be a really tough task for any degreaser. So for really tough degreasing jobs, there's been one product that I've consistently gone to over the last probably decade that I've been working on cars and grills at home and all kinds of different products, and that is Super Clean. And so when Super Clean reached out and said, hey, would you be interested in featuring our product on your channel? I was actually very excited for the opportunity because this is a product that I believe in. So over the last 40 plus years, Super Clean has been making some of the best degreasers out there, and I'm really excited to try this aerosol foaming degreaser because this is supposed to cling to your parts and give it that little extra bit of degreasing capability. So we're going to put this product to the test tonight. You guys have seen just how dirty this block is. I'm going to spray the block down with this aerosol degreaser, let that stuff soak into the pores, let it do its work, really get into those greasy areas and hopefully loosen all that grease and grime up. Then we're gonna come back and agitate all of the surfaces. We're gonna hit it once again with our regular spray bottle here. This is the product. This is a tried and true product. I've used it forever. I don't promote a ton of stuff on my channel, but I do promote products I believe in, and Super Clean is a product that I really do believe in. So what better way to prove to you guys how effective this product is than by degreasing one of the dirtiest engines that I've ever worked on. So a couple quick things before we get started. You can go to superclean.com and check out all the products they have. Super Clean has far more applications than just automotive applications. Check out their website, check out all the products they have. Now also on their website, they have dilution charts and safety data sheets, all the things that you need to protect the parts you're working on and yourself. So please be sure to check out the dilution charts because this degreaser is no joke. And it will etch raw aluminum if you're not careful and you're not using the proper dilution. So you always want to be careful when you're applying any chemicals to your project. Always test an inconspicuous area, especially if you're working on something that's painted or is raw metal. In this case, we don't have too much to worry about because we're going to be cleaning and repainting this entire engine. So I don't really care if it strips the paint off. We're going to use this product in its undiluted form because we need all the help we can get here. So we're going to take this aerosol and we're going to get to spraying this all over the engine block. So we're going to start first with the Tough Task Cleaner Degreaser, the Super Clean in the aerosol can. The instructions are here on the back. It's very simple. They even spell it out. Test in a pre-test in an inconspicuous area. Always apply it with the parts as cool as they can possibly be. It's the middle of winter. It's very cold out here tonight, so no worries about that. Cover the surface with a Super Clean, appropriate strength. Appropriate strength. Again, checking their dilution chart. Allowing time to dissolve grease and grime. Do not allow to dry on surface. Rinse thoroughly and dry as needed. And it says, depending on how you're using Super Clean, wear gloves and or eye protection. So we're using it in its most concentrated form tonight, so we are wearing gloves and we've got our eye protection on. So we're gonna just get in here and get this degreaser applied. I've put plugs in any of the important plugs on this engine. I've kind of covered up everything that needs to be covered up. And we're just gonna hit this with a heavy, heavy dose of this foaming degreaser. I've agitated and I've scrubbed on this thing. I end up using a soft bristle brush as well as a hard bristle brush. And the last step here is to wash this thing down with water. Now, it's the dead of winter here. I have no running water in the garage, so what we're gonna use is this little sprayer setup with a little bit of water in there. So keep in mind, these results are no pressure washer, no running water, middle of winter. I think it's darn impressive, but I just can't wait to show you guys kind of the after here. It is by no means perfect, like I said, and I spent probably an hour scrubbing on this thing, and we could spend probably another hour, but that has no bearing on the effectiveness of the degreaser because honestly, guys, the grease was so thick on this, I could probably use with 2 or 3 applications of degreaser to really dial this thing in. But I'm showing you kind of a worst case scenario here where you don't have a pressure washer, you don't even have a hose. What kind of results can you expect out of Super Clean? So we're gonna go ahead and hit this thing with my little pressurized water bottle, rinse the Super Clean off, dry everything off, and I'll show you the end results here. check out this finished product. Now, I say finished product, but this is really a first pass. As I've been saying, guys, this thing had so much grease and grime on it that it's quite impressive that we were able to do this much without any running water. I mean, I think that alone speaks to how good this product is. As I told you guys, long before Super Clean ever reached out to me, I was using their products. So I'm happy to promote them on the channel here. They hooked me up with the products you guys saw in the video today. And I have to say, as a personal review, that's my first time using the aerosol foam spray. That stuff's awesome. I'm gonna order a case of that stuff because it really does cling to the parts much better, especially when I was having to use the hard bristle brush to really scrape away a bunch of the just baked on grease and grime. That stuff clinged on there and really stuck with the brush. This thing was so bad, guys. I was clogging the hard bristle brush repeatedly, like every 20 seconds. I was having to take shop towels and wring the grease out of the bristles just to keep like being able to agitate more grease. So this is like the worst case scenario block in the worst case scenario in winter, and we were able to still get these results, which I'm extremely happy with. I know, like I said, a little bit more elbow grease and we could really get this thing shined up. But the thing is, we are going to completely disassemble this engine, and when we do that, all of these parts are going to be thoroughly cleaned. So this is a good first pass so that we can work on this engine without being just completely greasy all the time. Again, just quick shout out to Super Clean. Check out their product, superclean.com. Super happy with their product. I definitely recommend them for your project, especially if you're working on old greasy blocks. That's gonna do it for tonight's episode, guys. Come a long way here in just a couple nights. One night to pull the engine, another night here to get it stripped down and cleaned up. Now we do have to continue to break this engine down, and that's going to be the next step here. We're going to start popping off the valve covers, the intake manifold, the oil pan, get all those things knocked off and cleaned up, and really start to inspect what all we need to replace or don't need to replace in this engine. This engine is going to be Dad's build. We're not going too over the top on this one. We're just replacing what needs to be replaced. We're going to do some fuel system upgrades. Like I said, he has decided he is going with a Holley Terminator on this thing. He wants the Terminator Stealth. So that's what we're going to do on this engine. We're going to do Holley Terminator Stealth, probably a digital ignition system so that can communicate with the Terminator system. And then, so that means we're upgrading to electronic fuel pumps. But beyond that, as far as internal engine components go, if what's in the block is good, we are going to roll with it. There is a little bit of concern about the overall compression of this engine. Though it was running really well in the truck, it turns over extremely easy by hand. So if anything, we may end up throwing a set of rings at this thing. If we can get by without much machine work, we will do that. But if it needs it, we're just going to do it while we got it apart. So we don't want to have to pull this engine again 2 years down the line to replace piston and rings. So if it needs the stuff now, we're going to do it now. So all that said, guys, the next step for this thing really truly is going to be breaking this engine down and getting a good look at the internals and figuring out exactly what we need for parts. This build on this 392 is going to go through the winter, but more prominently featured is going to be Jeff's charger. The only reason we're not working on that now is because, as you can see, Ellsworth's still in the garage here, and I really got socked in by the snow this week. I had planned on moving this truck early this week, wasn't anticipating 14 inches of snow over the last 4 days. So unfortunately, this truck is stuck here until we can get the roads somewhat clear and salt-free, which is going to be a little while. So as soon as I can get this truck in storage, we're going to start on a frame rack for Jeff's charger, and then we'll get Jeff's charger over here, mounted on the frame rack, and we will start. We're going to go through all that stuff in another video. We're going to go through step by step exactly what we're going to be doing. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I appreciate y'all watching, tuning in. We got some really exciting stuff coming on the merch front. I'm working on a website right now. As soon as that website is live, we're going to have t-shirts, stickers, can koozies for sale for you guys. And all that stuff's going to be coming very, very soon. So I'll definitely be updating you guys when that website goes live. I think it's going to be in the next day or two from when you guys see this video. Please be on the lookout. Website will be codybuilds.com. We have limited runs of stuff, guys. I didn't go crazy on the merch up front. Really just kind of wanted to feel out what the demand would be. So if you really want a t-shirt, you should probably hop on it right away. I'm only going to restock t-shirts once the first ones sell out. I don't really have the capital to be investing in a ton of merch right now. So as long as you guys are interested in purchasing merch and you're buying it, I'll keep making it and I'll keep putting it up. It's just a little experiment here to see what the demand is, see if you guys have any interest in helping support the channel in a way other than just watching the videos. So all that said, guys, you know the deal. If you don't work on your projects, they will not work on themselves. Get out in the garage, get building. I'll see you on the next episode of Cody Builds.